Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking something incredibly beautiful and actually deeply practical. We're looking at a profound teaching from Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, recently highlighted by the channel Tayyib Voice. What's absolutely fascinating here is how it takes this massive, almost abstract concept, spiritual radiance, and distills it down into highly actionable everyday steps. We're going to break down this wisdom piece by piece and unpack a complete roadmap for your own personal and spiritual development. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. You know when you meet someone and they just seem to glow? Not in a literal physical sense, right? But they just have this undeniable, unmistakable presence about them, a certain clarity, a peacefulness that totally draws you in. It really makes us pause and ask this deeply reflective question. What actually brings true light to a person's face? It's a concept that goes way beyond anything superficial, like a good skincare routine or basic physical health. This teaching actually forces us to stop, take a breath, and consider that true outward radiance might just be a direct byproduct of our quietest, most private daily choices. It asks us to look inward, to figure out what's happening outward.
And that brings us to the heart of this teaching, a very specific concept known as Noor. As framed by this tradition, Noor translates to a spiritual light, or a profound kind of radiance. But here is the crucial thing you have to understand. This isn't about a physical light source. It's entirely an inner spiritual outcome. It's a visible, outward transformation, but it originates completely on the inside. The whole idea is that the condition of your spirit, the actual health of your soul, directly impacts your outward presence in the world. Basically, when the inside is pure, the outside shines with Noor. So let's look at the core premise of this hadith, translated from the Tayyib Voice transcript. It reads, "The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that Noor on the face comes from 4 habits." Just think about the absolute directness of that statement. It establishes a clear, undeniable cause and effect relationship. Notice it doesn't say this inner light comes from having immense wealth, or high social status, or even just good genetics. Nope, it says it comes from habits, regular, repeatable, intentional daily actions. Which means this kind of profound spiritual light is actually accessible to anyone who's willing to put in the work to cultivate these behaviors. So, the path forward is explicitly laid out into 4 key behaviors: eating halal sustenance, offering namaz, compassion to orphans, and always speaking the truth. 4 distinct, incredibly clear actions. Let's break each of these down individually to really grasp how they fit into our everyday lives. We kick things off with the first habit, halal sustenance, which means lawful earning and consumption. Basically, making sure that what you consume and exactly how you earn your living is purely ethical and permissible. And wow, think about how profound it is that the very first step towards spiritual radiance begins with the practical, everyday reality of how we survive. It bridges the gap right into our modern world. If your day-to-day work involves honest business, fair trade, and just treating the people you work with dignity, well, that ethical economic integrity creates an incredible internal peace. When the foundation of your life is rooted in fairness, that purity inevitably reflects outwardly. You literally cannot separate your professional life from your spiritual well-being. Now, what's really interesting about this next habit is how it shifts us from the physical realm of daily work straight into pure spiritual devotion. Habit 2 is offering namaz, establishing regular, dedicated prayer. In our crazy modern world where our phones, our emails, and our schedules are just constantly demanding our attention, namaz acts as the ultimate daily reset button. It's a built-in, recurring pause in your day to completely unplug from the material noise and reconnect with the divine. By consistently stepping away from all the chaos to cultivate this relentless rhythm of mindfulness and gratitude, you're actively generating that inner Noor. That spiritual connection literally becomes the power source for your radiance. Then we have the third habit, which naturally shifts our focus outward: compassion for orphans. Notice how beautifully the teaching pivots here. We go from the self, our own food, our own prayers, to looking out for the most vulnerable members of society. It highlights the absolute necessity of showing gentleness, warmth, and deep empathy to those who have lost their parents. You know, you simply can't possess true spiritual light if your heart is closed off to the pain of others. By extending genuine compassion to people who have no one else to protect them, you nurture a deeply selfless empathy within yourself. And that internal softness, that protective warmth, it becomes a totally visible, radiant part of your aura. So the crucial point tying the whole shebang together is the final pillar: always speaking the truth. A steadfast, unshakable commitment to honesty.
I mean, just think for a second about the heavy mental and emotional toll that lying takes on a person. It creates stress, anxiety, and this burdened conscience that you have to drag around with you all day. Truth-telling is the final requirement for bringing light to the face, because when you're unequivocally honest, you have absolutely nothing to hide. Your conscience is crystal clear. That internal clarity and absolute transparency translate directly into a serene, unburdened presence. Honesty literally clears the dark shadows of guilt right out of your demeanor, allowing that Noor to truly, genuinely shine through. And this brilliantly illustrates how these everyday actions weave together to completely transform a person's character. When you look at these four pillars side by side, lawful sustenance, dedicated prayer, heartfelt compassion, and unwavering truth, you realize pretty quickly that this isn't just a simple list of good deeds. It's a complete blueprint for living. It covers your ethics in the workplace, your personal relationship with the divine, your empathy toward the vulnerable, and your absolute integrity in how you communicate. When those four pillars are perfectly aligned in your life, the natural, inevitable result is Noor. It's a character so transformed and pure that it naturally radiates to everyone around you. The blueprint for a radiant character is right in front of us, beautifully practical and completely accessible. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a direct question to really ponder on. Which of these four habits will you focus on today to build your inner light? Will it be taking a closer look at the ethics of your modern workplace, maybe rededicating yourself to that daily digital disconnect through prayer, finding a new way to show compassion to the vulnerable, or just committing to absolute truth in your very next conversation? The choice to walk the path is entirely yours. Thanks so much for learning with me today, and I really hope this sparks a wonderful journey for your own inner light.